They shot at the driver at his face. They started hitting the car with cutlass and the head of their gun. It was so deadly and brutal. His lap got peeled. Blood and water was dripping out of his leg. Still, these people will use stones, those big rock and cutlass to hit him, blast his head, use cutlass, cut him to confirm that he's really dead. What I saw with my eyes, man, immediately heard their voice. And then they said, tell him 30 million, tell him 30 million.
Oh my goodness, bro, you said you were kidnapped by people putting on military uniform. Can you tell us how this happened?
It all happened on my way back from Abuja, and on that fateful day, on the 5th of March 2025, as we were approaching an untarred road along that Kogi Expressway. So we had already passed 2 or 3 military checkpoints, approaching the fourth one, still thinking that they were military men, not knowing that they were Fulani men dressed in military attires, and so as we were approaching them, they waved at the driver, and because the road was not really good at that point, they shot at the driver at his face, so
wow.
The driver hand started waving, his hand started waving, and then he waved into one ditch like that until the second person on the front seat had to use the handbrake to hold the car, and the car stopped, and then that was how they started hitting the car with cutlass and the head of their guns, and everybody get down, and that was how we all got down from the vehicle, so they took us out of the vehicle, carried us inside the bush.
How many of you? How many of them? And how many of you?
We were like 16 persons inside the bush, but in that process where there was chaos and they were saying everybody should get down from the bus, I think 3 persons escaped in that process. 3 persons. I think some people hid under the bus, some people ran into the bush, they were not able to find them, and so the rest of us was taken inside the bush, like some few parameters away from the bus. They used their cutlass to tear some people's shirt and tie our hand behind our back, and that was how we were taken down inside the bush. We trekked for like 6 hours, if not more than 6 hours, inside the bush until we now finally got to a destination, and then we were there for like another 20 minutes, and then we left that same place again to another place, let's say like a 40 minutes walk to another place. And that was where we were, until they tied our eyes, and our hands were still tied at our back, and that was how we were there till the following day, before they now demanded us to call our people, and then we informed them that we were kidnapped.
Wow. So what was going through your mind when this whole thing was happening?
Man, I won't lie, to be sincere, what was going through my mind at that point, I was literally very calm, even in the midst of the whole situation, where there was so much chaos and people were shouting blood of Jesus, we are dead, we are finished. I was so calm, and I just had this untriggered faith, because I knew that bad as bad, my God will still keep me alive, I just had this faith in me, but I wasn't bothered. I was just following, if they say move here, we'll move. In the process, as we were walking, they were still flogging us with cutlass, flogging us with koboko, the way they control cow, and they'll do
yeah.
That was the way they were controlling us inside the bush and treating us like cows,
Wow, this is really scary. I can't believe that things like this happen. I mean, they released some gunshots, but why didn't this attract the attention of security personnel? Like you said, you passed about 3 military checkpoints.
Yeah, and it wasn't even far from the previous checkpoint.
I mean, how is it possible to kidnap 16 individuals from a bus? The process is not something that will be done within 5 minutes or 10 minutes. It's going to take time to coordinate these people, right? So how is it that they spent this much time, yet there was no military intervention, no security intervention in any way? I can't imagine how you guys felt, going into the bush, knowing that Nigeria has failed you. I mean, if you were in a working country and those gunshots were released, you'll be rest assured that security personnel will be on their tail or something. But I can't imagine how you guys felt.
Yeah, at that point, I won't lie, I I was in my head, I was expecting the military, like the military men, because we had passed a couple of checkpoints. So I was expecting maybe after, maybe let's say after 5 minutes or even 3 minutes after they heard the gunshot, maybe they will come to intervene. But I didn't see any sign of them. You know, they didn't show up, they didn't do anything, and at that point I had to just place my life in the hand of God, because I know that these people won't even come and do anything, because some of them were putting on military uniform, and there was something I also suspected. You know, while we're passing the checkpoints, you know, there are some of the soldiers will look inside the bus and look at us. It was after the whole incident, it started recurring to me that it seemed to me like there were spies, you know.
So what you're trying to say is that there could be a potential collaboration between the real Nigerian military, and these kidnappers.
Yeah, I feel like some of the soldiers there were compromised, you know, and they were giving information to their allies, which is the kidnappers. Because you can't just tell me that after we pass a military checkpoint, just 300 meters away or 400 meters away, and they hear gunshots, they won't come and intervene.
I agree, bro. Yeah,
it's not possible. So I feel like, maybe they were part of the whole process. Maybe it could be, because you cannot. Where are they getting their military uniforms from? You know, even though some of those military men go to attack them sometimes, I know that sometimes they get to like get in combats with these military men, and maybe sometimes if they kill some army guys inside the bush, some of them wear their uniform and disguise under the military, you know, because even the same guns that they were using was also similar to the gun that these military men use as well. You get me?
I hear that sometimes most of them are really young people.
Yeah, you know, let's say the matured ones inside them, they are like 5, while the rest are just small guys that will be like, let's say under 20, you know, or let's say under 25. But let's say their commander and like 2 other or 3 other of them were like matured men, let's say like from age of 30 to like 40, you know, while the rest were like from under 25 down.
So how long were you guys there with them? Did they hurt anybody? Did they give you guys food? Can you tell us everything that happened while you were kidnapped?
We were held hostage for 7 days, and in that 7 days the whole process was deadly. It was hell. It was crazy. It was like hell, you know. At some point I was even thinking whether does hell even really exist, because what we went through, what I saw with my eyes, man, all I can say is that God saved my life. You know, in that whole 7 days we were trekking. It was like a walkathon. You know, we don't stay in one place. That's how we keep trekking. The minimum we trek is like 4 hours. That is if we don't even trek in a day, because sometimes we trek day and night, you know. So it's like a thing. Maybe if they notice a bad signal, or maybe they notice somebody coming, or maybe they just notice something, you know, they will just say, okay, let's move out of this place, and then that was how we move out of there. So they keep taking us inside. As the day goes by, we keep going inside and getting lost from the outside world, you know. So we went so deep inside that we stopped hearing sounds of motorcyclists or vehicles, or even those guys that do sawing of wood. We stopped hearing any of those sounds. That's how we're taking it. As we were walking down, we're getting beaten. They were using head of gun to hit us. You know, at the same time too, we're encountering different things on the road. You know, it was like an evil forest. You can sometimes at night, because we walk mainly at night. At night, you can just hear vultures at one other end. You know, it was so deadly and brutal. Sometimes you can hear sounds of maybe girls clapping and singing like evil spirits. At that point, bro, it was so crazy. You just hold your heart in your hand, and just pray that God keeps you alive and gets you out of there, because it was deadly. It was like a dead zone. You know, these people, once they just lick their drugs, they don't get hungry. Once they lick their drugs like this, they've had strength, and they will say we should start going. And in that whole process, we didn't eat for like let's say like 2 days. You know, it was in the night of the second day. they now finally gave us food, and they gave us gari to drink. They just brought gari, put it inside one this thing like that, one bowl like that, and what after they finish soaking, they will allow it to dry, and they will allow it to rise, and when it rise, everybody will just hold one spoon, and when you drink 3 spoons, you pass the spoon to the next person. The other person drinks 3 spoons. The other person passes the spoon to the next person. That was how we were drinking three spoons. So like in a whole day, you only drink 3 spoons of gari, And in this whole process, there was like on the 3rd day, there was no water. We were so dried and thirsty. It was so bloody. It was hell. There was no water on that day. And that's how we're trekking without water. Everybody was so dehydrated. The sun in Kogi State is so hot and scorchy. Even though you even drink 1 liter of water, say it dries off up your body in just how many minutes?
This is like a movie, bro.
So that day, there was this particular man. After we walked, and on that day too, there was this land that they just finished burning. Let's say like 30 hectares of land. The land was still smoking hot and barefooted. That was how I walked on that land, and several others that were not wearing their footwears, except for those that were wearing shoe. I walked on that land barefooted. It was as if I was tiptoeing the whole time, and the burning sensation, bro, from that land alone, my goodness, that was the day I almost gave up. But I think God saved my life. But because of water and dehydration, one man gave up. He was not able to walk again, and that was how he fell and gave up. And do you know that these people saw that this man has collapsed, like he has literally, let's say he was literally dead. Still, these people will use stones, those big rock and cutlass to hit him, blast his head, use cutlass, cut him to confirm that he's really dead. Before they leave him to start going, and they will just use leaf to cover him, and they will be like, oh yeah, let's move. And once anybody dies in this particular location, we'll have to trek for like 3 to 4 hours or 5 hours to be lost from where that person is, so there will be no traces. That was on the 3rd day. Although they killed somebody first on the 2nd day, that one too was not able to trek, because the trekking we were trekking was, bro, we were climbing mountains and coming down. Those high mountains in Kogi State. We trekked those mountains, At that point, the man was not able to walk again. As he was walking, he was falling and gasping for breath, walking, falling and gasping for breath. His brother was holding him, because there were 3 of them, on the journey. They were going to Saple. Man, that was how they pushed his brother away, and they used the same cutlass to cut him. And if you see the way these people are killing human beings, they will be killing people and be laughing. They will be smiling. Now, in my head, I'm like, what is funny about this thing? And whenever they also kill somebody again, walk. So at that process of when we were walking,